wanted to kind of boil it all down. And here's what I think the major principle is that Christ is trying to get us to understand. Live in such a countercultural way that others are drawn to Christ. And that countercultural lifestyle means extending love to relatives who disappoint you, wound you, or drive you nuts, never seeking revenge, but actually looking for ways to bless them and do what's best for them. And this is countercultural, wouldn't you say? Like, no one does this in the secular world. They're like, if they did this, they deserve whatever, I'm going to give back at them. And you certainly would not be blessing this person, right? But God's way is so upside down and different. It's countercultural. He's saying, never seek revenge. Actually look for ways to bless this person and do what's best for them. And this is going to stun your disappointing relative. This is going to stun that annoying relative. When you act like this, it's like, wow. Because it's so unusual when we act this way, it's going to be stunning, and they're going to be drawn to Christ. Maybe even just a little curious about this Christ that you're serving because you're acting so different than the rest of the world. And that's the essence of the whole section of Luke 6 from verses 32 to 36. He's saying everybody is nice to people who are nice to them. I mean, I know I am. I mean, the people that are nice to me, of course I'm nice to them. It's like, oh. But not everyone is nice to people who treat them poorly. But Christ was nice to people who treated him poorly. And he blessed people who treated him poorly. And we're supposed to be a reflection of Christ. Jesus modeled this for us so well, didn't he? I mean, he endured taunts and hateful words, literal slaps on the cheek, and much, much more. I mean, out and out torture. And yet, he did not seek revenge. He sacrificed himself because he loved us, because he loved you, right? He sacrificed, was willing to do whatever it took to bless us, to rescue us from our sin. Now, we can't rescue people from their sin, but we can bless them. We can model that, right? Here's the thing I wanted to point out, though, right from the get-go. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, the biggest blessing that you can give to that difficult relative in your life, sometimes, is to stop enabling them to continue in a destructive pattern, a disrespectful pattern, a harmful pattern of behavior, an addiction, irresponsible behavior. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to stop enabling them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Because is it in their best interest to continue down that path with an addiction, with a destructive kind of behavior, with irresponsibility? Is that really what's best for them? No. So sometimes the best thing you can do is to stop enabling that kind of behavior, right? Blessing someone doesn't mean standing by and doing nothing if they're sinning against you or your children. Jude, verses 22 and 23 puts it this way. Have mercy on those who doubt. Save others by snatching them out of the fire. To others show mercy with fear, hating even the garments stained by the flesh. And we're going to unpack this all a little bit later, but I just wanted to get that out there at the get-go. Because when you hear love your enemies, it can sound like, oh, just be super nice to everyone who's being mean to you and never confront them. But I don't think that's necessarily blessing your neighbor. Sometimes God's saying, actually, stop enabling them to continue down that path. First of all, ask the Lord to give you his heart and his character toward that person. Ask the Lord to give you his heart and his character toward that person. And you're thinking, well, what does that even mean? Okay, well, God describes his character several times in the Bible. One of those times is Psalm 103, verse 8, where it says, the Lord is compassionate, gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in love. So God is calling you to be toward that relative or that difficult person. He's saying, I want you to be compassionate, gracious. By the way, the definition of gracious means giving undeserved favor. Undeserved favor. That's the definition of grace. So this relative that's driving you nuts maybe doesn't deserve it, but you're giving it to them anyway. That's called grace, right? Maybe you're supposed to tame your temper with that person and focus on loving them. That would all be a reflection of God's character. I memorized this particular verse years ago, probably about 15 years ago. Because I don't know, it just like hit me like, well, that describes God's character. And we're called to be more Christ-like. I was like, okay, I should be like this. And so I memorized this verse probably like 15 years ago. And it has served me well because there are moments where I'm like, right now, this person is driving me bonkers, but I will be, as I have smoke coming out of my ears, but I will be compassionate and gracious and slow to anger and abounding in love. Okay, number 2, ask the Lord to give you insight and understanding as to why that person is behaving that way. There's always a reason. And sometimes it's really helpful to pause and say, Lord, what could be the reason? Why would they have done that? Are they tired? Are they stressed? Have they never dealt with childhood wounds and they're just kind of continuing to act out of this dysfunction because they never dealt with those childhood wounds? I mean, what is the reason? Ask God to give you that insight. I believe He will give you that insight. I have faith that He would do that. He's done that for me. And then it gives me more compassion with that person. It doesn't necessarily excuse their behavior, say it's just fine, but it gives me some compassion for them. Like, oh, I see what's going on.